Artists and Outlaws, Myth and Realities. There are several connections between outlaws and artists. Both have been romanticized by movies, books, newspapers, talk shows, and documentaries, illustrating the positive and negative aspects of their achievements. Artists and outlaws alike tend to live according to their own rules. Outlaws, as well as artists, tend to burn out early. They live fast and die young. These similarities are deeply rooted in public perception. Both groups are generally seen as nonconformist and unable to adapt to social norms and ideals. Both have been mythologized as clever, heroic, genius, self-sufficient in folk and popular culture, and our perception of them is living unconventional lifestyles outside the mainstream. They both share their chosen path and the way they want to live it, outside the pre-established rules. Numerous artists throughout history have been compared to the outlaws, and some of them they really were. I hope this case will serve as an example. Michelangelo Merisi, known as Caravaggio, the 17th Italian painter whose life is known not only through his paintings but also for his police reports, legal depositions, and court transcripts. He was brought to trial on numerous occasions during his period in Rome. Most of the various charges against him involved violent conduct. He was a troublemaker who made his way up to murder. In 1606, he was forced to flee Rome after killing a man during a sword fight in a dispute. He spent the rest of his life on the run. Nobody knew how he died or where his body ended up until very recently. We shall now move on to artists' outlaws' life in films and music. There are several famous films based on the lives of Vincent van Gogh and Jackson Pollock. These two famous artists were all highly skilled painters who had to deal with rejection, criticism, and grief during their lifetime. As Vincent van Gogh, it is hard not to think of tragedy when considering his life. His unconventional personality and unstable moods make him suffer from recurrent psychotic episodes during the last 2 years of his extraordinary life. He committed suicide at the early age of 37. As Jackson Pollock, his life, work, and legend combined to make him an icon. He was a young artist with a tormented life and a tragic death. He had an explosive personality and fought against alcoholism for most of his life. He was killed in a traffic accident at the age of 44. Another film related to the outlaws is Thelma and Louise. The story of two outlaw women on the run from their dissatisfied lives was a revelation. This film reinforces female fascination with the woman outlaw, preferring lives of criminality as opposed to domesticity. Thelma and Louise, as Wild West outlaws, also escape into the hills. And regarding to music, the outlaws in music, like other forms of popular culture, folk song usually depicted the Wild West as a land of exotic beauty, opportunity, romance, and excitement around outlaws characters. Legendary country western singer-songwriters reinforces the mythology of famous outlaws characters as Billy the Kid, Butch Cassidy, and Jesse James. They found great success singing about their lives and providing a clear national identity. On the other hand, we have rock and pop stars. They live fast and die young. Many successful musicians and celebrities have died at a very early age due to their self-destructive celebrities' lifestyles and influence of alcohol and drug abuse. Note that adverse childhood events such as abuse, living with a substance abuser, and coming from a broken home or one in which there was a domestic violence also appear to play a role in how musicians start die. Behavioral differences. Outlaws differ from artists in terms of personality and way of life. An unfortunate consequence of the outlaws' lifestyle is that it's often short lived. They tend to die young due to their criminal acts. Outlaws don't usually modify their lifestyles unless they are arrested, imprisoned, murdered, or die. Antisocial attitudes, associates, personality, and behaviors are too strong to be changed. In addition, interpersonal factors such as antisocial associates may influence whether one receives social reinforcement for a criminal act. On the other hand, artists in general don't die younger than most people. We just remember the ones that do so. A recent study found out that only musicians' suicide rates were between 2 and 7 times greater than the general population, and homicides rates up to 8 times greater. Artists often modify their lifestyles for practical reasons as self-preservation, family responsibilities, or both. The bohemian lifestyle is difficult to sustain beyond one's 20s or early 30s. Finally, and to conclude, I would like to say that separation of reality and myth has never been easy. After all, it is also a matter of perspective. It becomes even more difficult to divide myth and reality. It seems that the myth is easier to memorize and remember than reality because the myth, on the one hand, reflects an ideology, and on the other hand, reality always seems to be boring compared to the fantastic stories of the myth. Artists and outlaws are always on the edge between myth and reality.